So let's say you're a young man and you're wondering, what if the woman I'm hoping to marry would actually struggle to respect the man I'm becoming right now?
Well, let's go ahead and explore that. Do you respect me less now because I stuttered?
Let's find out.
Let's find out.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Muslim Marriage Podcast, where we show you how to find and build a marriage that lasts as a Muslim. I'm Zara Hassan.
And I'm AJ, and we've been married for 4.5 years.
And if you haven't already subscribed to our channel on YouTube, please do. It really helps us out. Having said that, let's get started.
Let us begin.
So this episode is entitled, How Do I Become the Kind of Man a Great Woman Wants? It's interesting, right?
Mm-hmm,
because
yes.
that's a little bit different from how do I become ready for marriage.
That's true.
Yeah, there's a subtle difference there, but I think it's a very important difference that we're going to explore using a question from the Muslim Marriage subreddit. So a gentleman on the Muslim Marriage subreddit asks, I'm a 27-year-old male, and I feel like this would be a conversation I would have had with my father, but he passed away when I was 14 years old. I feel like I'm missing something that's preventing me from getting married. At one side, I think it's great, but on the other side, I feel like I don't have the foundation to get started. I see other men my age that have a specific quality that I can't name, but you can tell that they're able to handle marriage life. How do I grow up? So he puts the characteristics that he believes is ready for that is important for marriage in different categories. The first characteristic he states is maturity. So he says, maturity. I make a lot of jokes. I don't overthink. I usually just let issues pass. I give people the benefit of the doubt. Maybe these things make me less of a man. I've been in positions where I had to defend my family, but almost all the time people take pity on me. Second category, finances. I worked multiple jobs to provide, which kind of delayed my graduation. I split bills with my older sister, who also works. I'm in the last year of college, but I work in IT already. I'm not in a great position, but it's a stepping stone into getting into a better one. Third category, emotional intelligence. I can't seem to understand certain cues. I'm kind of oblivious when it comes to trying to comfort people. I'll just say the basic things like, it'll be okay, without giving an actual solution. I've been told I can't communicate my emotions well. So his question is, how do you get ready for marriage? What stage in life did you feel you were ready? And what was it that solidified that thought? Any advice would help. My apologies for all the stuttering. Apparently I can't talk today again. But what are your thoughts?
Oh my God, that's so nice. Just because I started at the beginning,
yes,
you're stuttering to make me feel more comfortable.
Yes, that's the reason. We'll go with that.
So I feel like the guy's already ready for marriage.
Okay, so
just mentality-wise, he feels like he's not.
You're saying his confidence isn't there.
Yeah, his confidence is not there. But it seems like he's already got everything ready. Like he's in IT, right? He already has an IT position. He's 1 year away from graduation.
Yes.
He is helping his family. I think that if he chooses to wait the year until he finishes graduation, then he could theoretically just jump straight into the marriage.
So you think just finances is what's holding him back?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, I think he already has the finances.
Oh.
Right? Because he is working in IT already.
Yes.
And IT, it's a decent paying job, typically. He is splitting the bill with his sister, which means that he lives at home, taking care of his family, right? In that capacity, he is going to be hindered because he's worried now, if I get married, I'm going to no longer be able to support my family, which means my sister is going to have to take on either the entire burden or someone else is going to have to take over the spot that I have vacated, right? Or he could have his wife move in with his current family for the remainder of the year if he wishes to get married immediately.
So you're saying that the characteristics that are important for a young man, particularly this young man, to get married are among the things that he's listed with respect to maturity and finances and emotional intelligence. And what he's listed under each category is sufficient for marriage.
Yeah, I feel like what he's listed under each category is already sufficient for marriage, because he said that he is emotionally mature enough to release, to let go of certain battles.
Yeah.
Right? He doesn't fight for certain things as much as he thinks he should.
Yes.
For the cohesion of the social structure, right?
Yes.
And he, weirdly enough, deemed that as unmanly.
You have a very good memory. Barakallah feek.
Oh yeah, alhamdulillah.
Yeah, because I'm having to recheck those details, and I feel like line by line you have it memorized. Okay, so that's very good. And I agree with you, actually. We're going to see, with respect to what I think are the things that are most important for getting ready for marriage, that almost all of these are listed. So I agree with you heavily. So your advice to this gentleman would just be to wait until he finishes his college program, and then from there he's ready to go. Yeah,
if he wants to be certain of finishing his college program, then it's best to not change up the variables that you currently have. He seems to have made it work so far with what he has going. I feel like if he adds something else to that, it might throw it off balance, and he might decide to prioritize or rearrange his priorities, and that might cause a delay for him, right? But also, he could very well also marry and add that to the list of things that he'd like to balance, since it's just for the very last year.
So everything you said makes sense. All right. So before we get into what I think are the 4 things or steps or aspects to getting ready for marriage for a man, I just wanted to get your final piece of advice. So let's say it's not this gentleman. Let's say another gentleman comes to you. He's 25 years old, just typical average life, right? Let's say he has both parents, he has siblings at home. He just finished his college program, and he's financially in a position where he's ready, and he's thinking, okay, I think that I'm ready for marriage, but I'm not sure what are the things that help me to be worthy of a marriage, the way that this young man phrased the question. What would your final piece of advice be for somebody in that situation?
A man who is financially literate, he has finished college, and he is currently working a job.
Yeah, financially stable and somewhat literate, yeah. Average literate.
Does he have the emotional capacity to take care of someone?
Let's say he has the average emotional capacity.
Oh, okay, then he is ready.
Okay.
I feel like even if he doesn't have financial stability, so long as he's trying to work to improve his lot in life, there should be nothing stopping him from getting married.
Okay, so let me phrase it one last variation of this question. If he says, okay, that's my situation, everything we just described, and I want to get ready in maybe 1 year, right? In 1 year. Over the next year, what are some things that I could do to make myself be even more ready to give my potential marriage the best possible chance and to become the best possible husband? Over the next year, what would you recommend that I do?
Get married.
But before he gets married, though, if he wants to go into training.
Yeah, but I feel like going into training, right? In order to get married, you have to either go very specialized, right?
Yeah.
And take a crash course to literally learn everything you need.
Like premarital counseling, you're saying.
Something coaching. Like that, right? Yeah. Or, I honestly, I don't think there should be a level in which you're like, hey, if I do this specific action,
yes,
unless you're already in college and you're in university and it's literally your last year before you get your diploma degree or, doctorate.
Yes.
in that case, I would say, yeah, probably the safest thing for you to do is to just wait that last year and not change any variables, right?
Yeah.
But with marriage being half the deen, it makes things easier for both men and women, right?
Yeah.
You're not gonna have, like, for example, if you have friends that love to go out,
Yes.
right? And they're like, hey, we're gonna go out today. Why don't you come with us? Right? They might push hard on you to go with them. But if you say, brother, I'm married.
Yeah.
I got a wife to take care of at home. I'm not going anywhere with y'all.
Okay.
And they're going to be like, yeah, oh, that's fair. All right. Peace out, bro.
Okay. So I think I somewhat understand what you're saying. Let me just put it all together and give 4 steps, because I don't really coach men, but when I do coach men, this is a common question that I get, or this is also a question that I get sometimes in comments and DMs, right, through Instagram or through email, where gentlemen will ask some variation of, this is my circumstances, I want to get married in a year, I want to get married in 6 months. And I think this is what this gentleman is also asking. What are some things that I can do in order to give my marriage the best possible start, to be a good husband?
I already have the answer to that. Like, if someone says, this is my circumstance and I want to get married in 6 months, what can I do? My decision right then and there is start looking for a spouse. Well, yeah. Because you're most likely not going to get married within those 6 months.
So the completion of that question is, so the way that I answer this question is, because what a lot of people do is they focus on the process of the search itself, which is important. It's an important aspect. But I believe that's not what this question is asking.
No.
I think this question is asking, how do I give my marriage the best possible start? What do I do in training now?
Yeah,
right?
The starter pack.
Exactly. So this is what I tell to them. Assume that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already written for you a wonderful wife, right? And that you are going to meet this wonderful wife when it's supposed to be that you meet her. Let's say that she's completely compatible for you, and etc., etc. All of that's already pre-written. Given that, what are the things that you can do between now and when you are married to this wonderful woman to take the focus off of finding her and to instead put the focus on becoming the man that will make that marriage work?
Yeah.
I think that's a much more important question. Yeah. And I think that's a much more important perspective to have. Okay, I think there are 4 things that a man can do to become the man that will make that marriage work, assuming that, the basics are taken care of. You know what I say? Like a man otherwise believes he's ready for marriage. Yeah. Do you see what I'm saying? So that he, his religion, his mental capacity, his finances are there, that technically he'll be able to take care of someone. But what are the things that he can do, not to be an average husband, but to be a great husband?
I think I sort of have an understanding of what you're saying. It's sort of like, why are you worried about what type of race you're going to be racing in? Yeah. When you should be worried about training for that race. Yes. Like, for example, we already know that when it's time, you're going to go into this qualifier, right? So these qualifier trials are going to determine which level of competition you land upon. Yes. Right? And depending on your readiness, you're going to be either placed in like the Olympic competitions or like the local competitions or something like that, right? It doesn't really matter. Yes. Why are you worried about which race you're going to be racing? Yes. When you should be worried about, well, I know it's a race, so let me focus on cardio, running, instead of doing weightlifting and things like that, Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this is a small analogy, but I know that a large proportion of the population who is in this position is still in school, right? And is training for something. And a lot of the clients that I get are somehow in healthcare. They're either training in healthcare or well established in healthcare. So an analogy would be, sometimes people put so much focus in trying to get into medical school, right? That that by the time they get accepted to medical school, they realize, and they have to start medical school, they realize they're not as prepared to be able to excel in medical school as they could be, because all of their energy was in just trying to get there.
Yeah.
Right. So when so much energy is placed on trying to find the spouse, and even when you found the spouse, so much energy is spent on the wedding and just reaching that finish line of being in the same house together, that when you're now in the same house together, you realize I didn't study, right?
Yeah.
I'm just me. Like, there's nothing additional that I did. So these are the additional things that you can do now in order to be that great spouse. This episode is going to be dedicated to how to be a great husband. Next Monday's episode, right, will be dedicated to how to be a great wife.
Yes.
So these 2 episodes will be a little bit of a mini series to sort of close off that green flag series, In Shaa Allah.
And now there's an analogy for the men. The men, it's like you put so much effort into raising your evasion that you forget to put skill points into your damage output. So sure, you're dodging all the attacks, but you're not able to do any damage yourself. It's going to take you 35 minutes to beat the boss.
I'm just going to assume all of that made sense.
For the men, yeah.
Yes, of course.
For the men.
So number 1, the first thing that you can do. Now, we've discussed this in a whole episode dedicated to this called how to be the difference between a good man and a marriage-ready man, right? So the first thing that you can do to become a great husband is to deal with your own emotional baggage, right? All of those things, all of those traumas, those insecurities. Insecurities are usually a very good indicator of what's going on in the subconscious that you've just not been dealing with, right? To start to unpack those and to process those, because those tend to be the issues. Those tend to be amplified by marriage. So let's say that there is, for instance, an individual might have a bit of a temper. Right? When I say a bit of a temper, I don't mean anything violent. I just mean that, somebody will say something and they're easily triggered. And because they're triggered, they go into that, I'm going to shut down. I'm not going to discuss things anymore because I'm very triggered. I'm going to walk away, or I raise my voice, right? And things tend to escalate, or I might start to say hurtful things. Or I don't mean emotionally abusive things, but hurtful things of like, well, if you remember, that's what I did, that's why you did this last week, like, like those petty conversations. You know what I mean? They'll escalate. So they have difficulty with remaining emotionally sober when they're triggered, and because of that they have a bit of a temper, and that could represent their baggage.
Yes.
And a person could know that about themselves, right?
Yes.
In fact, whenever you're in a talking stage with someone like this, and you ask them, what are your red flags? They'll sheepishly say, I have a bit of a temper. Like you'll hear that it's something that they know about themselves. So knowing this about yourself, it's important to deal with that from now. So then the question comes up, well, how do you deal with this? Well, it depends on what the baggage is. Right. So some of it can be dealt with through just sitting down and having an honest conversation with yourself through journaling and outlining what the issues might be and where these issues might come from and what are the negative consequences of these issues. Like having a negative temper, it's easy to see what the negative consequences will be. It's going to make any kind of conflict resolution difficult. It's going to make conflicts more common, especially in your first year. So you can have that conversation with yourself. And then you can look things up on YouTube. YouTube, in my opinion, is one of the best resources because you have people who have experienced, who have real life experience or knowledge, academic knowledge, or some combination of both telling you. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. This is what I know works in order to fix it, right? So I always recommend look it up on YouTube, see what people have already done to try to fix it. See if there are books that are written on the subject. Look up on some AI. I'm not going to state any specific one, but look it up on AI. See what AI can summarize. or if it gets to a point that the issue that you're dealing with needs therapy, I recommend going to therapy, right? Like, there's very little to lose other than money, right? And everything to gain, including a wonderful marriage. Instead of finding out that I should have gone to therapy, a year and a half into your marriage on the brink of divorce, it's better to unpack and figure that out now. So the first thing that you can do to get ready for a marriage, to become a great husband, is unpack your baggage and deal with it now in whatever way that it needs to be dealt with. So if you have a temper, let it be your goal to get to a point where you no longer have a temper. If you have an attachment insecurity, start the process of healing that attachment insecurity and becoming more securely attached now. There are things that you can do. If you have deep insecurities about your body and the way that you look, start dealing with, when I say deal with the body insecurities, I don't mean go to the gym, right? I mean start to unpack where those might be coming from on an emotional level and start to heal those on an emotional level and rebuild your self-esteem now. There are very few things that are more damaging to a marriage than an insecure spouse.
True.
Right? Or a spouse that whose insecurity is just really running the show. So deal with those things now. I'm spending so much time on it. In fact, we did a whole episode on it because I believe it is the most important thing that you can do in order to make your future marriage work, is to deal with your baggage.
It's famously, as they say, high anxiety is getting to the best of me. Let's move on.
Okay. Okay. The second thing you can do, right? In fact, the second, third, and fourth thing, the last that you can do, are all going to be practicing, right? So the first thing is to deal with your baggage. The second thing is going to be to practice not getting your way and compromising. Do you know what I would mean by that?
Yeah.
Well,
the men certainly know.
What does it mean?
If the women need more practice on that.
Yes, we do. But this episode is for how to be a good husband. Right?
Oh, okay. In that case,
yes.
In order to be a better husband, sometimes you need to stand your ground.
Well, yeah, but that's not what this is. A lot of people, there might be some cases, and I've seen cases like this where that might be the issue, but what's more common, right? So this advice is to the average, is towards the average in the population, right?
Yeah.
What's much more common is that having difficulty in dealing with not getting your way. Okay. There was a whole series that we did on emotional unavailability. And with respect to that series, we talked about something called normative male alexithymia, which was this idea that through social programming, that sometimes it was difficult for particularly men, but also increasingly women, but particularly men, to be able to understand their emotions and understand the emotions of other people. That combination of things makes it difficult for important communication skills, such as being able to cope with things not being your way.
Yeah.
The reason why that is if you are having a conversation, let's say you like to have the car washed, you like to wash the car by hand, right? And your wife is suggesting, okay, we have in-laws coming, there's going to be all these issues with respect to that. Can you just go run it through the machine car wash a couple of times?
Yeah.
But you're trying to explain to her, no, and I know nothing about cars, so this might be a very silly example, but just bear with me. But you're trying to explain to her, no, because the machine's not going to do a good job, or it might be too rough, and we spend so much, this car is very important to me, and all of these things.
That's actually very apt.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. And
sometimes machine wash doesn't get the job done, or sometimes people worry about it scratching paint.
Okay. And so these are really good points. But she also makes a really good point that winter has just finished. The car is super dirty. And the in-laws are coming and they'll be here in an hour. And there just isn't time. So to some level, she has a point. Right? To some level, she has a point. And it looks like this is super, super duper important to her. More important to her than you getting your way. Because there is going to be every single day, there's going to be at least a couple of interactions where it's going to come down to either you get your way or she gets her way.
Yeah.
And a big part of marriage for both the men and the women, but particularly the men, and I'll explain why in a moment, it's important to be able to accept and deal with and cope with the reality that you're not going to be able to get your way. All right. So now, why is it that men will have to deal with that more than women? Do you have any ideas?
Because men are usually more used to getting their way. Women have been, since they were a child, they've been told, no, that's not proper.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big part of it. In fact, that's probably most of it, right? If I would add anything, is the reality is the woman that you marry is going to come in with her own baggage. I know I said assume the most compatible wife, right? But even the most compatible wife is going to come with some baggage. And by and far, the most common insecurity that women have is with respect to safety and security.
Yeah.
And because of this core wound, and this fear related to safety and security, sometimes women have issues with control, with things not going the way that they see is right. Like that will keep the ship running, like the family running. So in this case, she's thinking if the car is not clean and the in-laws see that the car is not going clean, there's going to be a negative image that's going to be portrayed upon the family, particularly on her, because things that are related to cleanliness are perceived as being a woman thing, right? So she's doing all of that math. And if she has this underlying core wound or fear related to safety and security, and part of that is my in-laws thinking that I'm a good wife, she might be a lot more triggered than you.
Yeah.
With respect to things that are related to keeping the ship running. So because she's the one who just happens to be more triggered, it's smart. The wise man, right? And this is something that I always recommend with clients. The wise man is going to learn how to let things go. He's going to learn how to not get his way. So now I said, this is a skill, right? This is not something that's learned overnight. It's you're now married and you just now have, with the signing of the nikah papers, you have just been endowed with this brand new ability to learn how to not get your way. That's not the case. It's a skill that's practiced. Women have a lot more practice with this. This is correct, right? Men have a little bit less practice with this. How can a man practice not getting his way?
That's a good question. I'd like you to take over.
All right. So a lot of the people are going to have siblings, right? They're going to have siblings. They're going to have family members. They're going to have friends. And if you pay attention in your conversation with your siblings, family members, and friends, there's going to be moments where it's going to come down to doing things your way or doing things their way. And even when you're correct, it's not about who's more correct. It's about who's more triggered, right? So even if you're correct, and let's say there's a question of you're out with your friends, and there's a question of where we're going to go eat, and they want to go to the shawarma place, where you had shawarma yesterday, so you're like, I would rather go to the halal pizza place. I prefer pizza today. That's an opportunity for you to practice not getting your way. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not saying make a habit of it and being like a doormat. That's not, and just become this person who everyone just gets their way around them. No, but I would say consciously practice at least once in a while that feeling of letting it go and letting the other person have their way. I think that would be an invaluable skill, a muscle that you have practiced and developed, so that by the time you are married and that first conversation comes up, you'll be like, I know what to do because I practiced.
You've always said that I have a tactician's mind.
You
right?
do. Barakallah fi.
Alhamdulillah. The second you said that, I immediately thought, how do I make this competitive?
Okay.
Right? And what I thought of was a person could simply become a contrarian, right? They could become a contrarian and they can disagree with everyone just for the sake of disagreeing with everyone. So that way they would be able to grind experience in not getting their way, right?
Okay.
So they'll start off being like, no, that's the worst decision. That's the worst idea I've ever. You know what? Let's do it.
Is that why you say that to me all? Okay. Anyway, something just clicked for me.
What I found out recently, and it makes so much sense, is a contrarian is not a person who thinks for themselves.
No.
A contrarian is a person who follows the public will just in the opposite direction.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. It's an illusion that they think for themselves.
Yeah.
They just don't like other people. So we talked about dealing with your own baggage is the first thing you can do. Second thing is practicing not getting your way. The third thing that you can do is also a practice. It's practicing having emotionally heavy conversations. So this goes back to what we talked about emotional unavailability and about this phenomenon of normative male alexithymia, of men on average having more difficulty with understanding their emotions and the emotions of others, right? Now that will come into play when you get married. Now, if you have been on some level numbing your feelings and at the same time not really understanding how other people might be feeling and situation to situation, you're not going to suddenly gain the ability of being able to deal with the heavy conversations that are going to happen in marriage.
Yeah.
Right. And as a woman and someone who has been interacting with women her whole life and who speaks the language of women, I'm telling you, we like to have a lot of emotionally heavy conversations. Sometimes this will be around relationships. Sometimes sometimes it won't, but they will be emotionally heavy. And these can be taxing to sit through if you are not practiced with sitting through them. Now, how can an individual practice having emotionally heavy conversations?
I have an idea. If you have siblings, a brother and sister,
yes,
you can take them to the side and you can be like, "Hey, do you mind if we talk? You know, earlier when you ate the last slice of pizza, it hurt me, right? Because I had only had like one slice, right? Because I came late. Yes, I'm sorry.
Yes,
but people told me that you had 3 slices, and that was I was hoping that maybe next time you could just like save that slice for me.
Oh,
is that something that you can probably do?
I mean, yeah, but I don't know if that's what I meant. Right? I see what you're saying, but if you substitute the word pizza for...
Thanks, bro.
Okay.
That means a lot to me. Okay. Yeah, well, look, brother, I love you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you eat the pizza next time, I am going to attack you.
I mean, that's not what I meant by heavy conversations, but let me say it this way. The brother mentioned it himself actually in the question. So when you ask, how can I practice having heavy conversations? He himself mentioned it. He said, I can't seem to understand certain cues. I'm kind of oblivious when it comes to trying to comfort people. I'll just say the basic things like it's okay without giving an actual solution. Okay. So he has himself mentions that whenever these emotionally heavy conversations come, he sort of minimizes them, deflects them, just tries to leave that situation by saying, hey, it'll be okay. And that thing that we all do. Like, so for instance, if you ask somebody at work, how was your day? How's your day going? And they say, it's not going great, bro. And they start going into a heavy conversation that you're not prepared for. That's an opportunity to practice. Yeah. Do you see what I'm saying? Where you can practice sitting and being present and listening in a real way. And more important than, I'm not saying use the people around you, but I'm saying take this as an opportunity to start practicing these skills. The measure of success is not going to be I solved this person's problems, right? You're not very few of us are equipped from the beginning to start solving people's problems. That's not the measure of success. The first measure of success is being present with that individual, right? Don't ever underestimate how valuable it is just to have someone to listen, right? Just to have a place to be able to feel heard and seen with our problems. In fact, in most cases, that's even more valuable than the advice that you would give. Mm-hmm. So your presence itself is healing. So practice being present. It's going to be uncomfortable. Practice sitting with the discomfort of someone else's emotions, right?
I have can we do a role play real quick?
All right, go for it.
Okay. We are the coworker.
Okay.
Right?
We are both the same coworker?
No, we are coworkers.
Okay.
Right? You are sad because somebody took the last slice of pizza at the corporate party. Okay?
Okay.
Hey, Linda, how's your day today?
I mean, it could be better.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
Because there was this pizza that I was really looking forward to.
No, I'm not asking you why you're feeling. I'm asking why did you say that? No, you're supposed to say my day's fine, and then you're supposed to say how's your day, and then I'm supposed to say my day's fine.
Yeah.
So Linda, how was your day today?
Better than yours, apparently.
All right, let's leave it at that. Bye, Linda.
Okay.
And that is how you handle those types of scenarios, people.
Okay.
Remember, your coworkers don't care about you. They're just trying to get through the day. But your wife cares about you. So you need to be more emotionally available than that.
Well, yes. But in order to become emotionally available to your wife, you can start by caring about your coworkers.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot. Experience, practice.
That's exactly
training.
That's what we're saying.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so also the same goes with your friends, with your family. When the next time that you see somebody, try to pay attention to the emotional cues, right? So he himself mentioned that he has a hard time with emotional cues. Mm-hmm. So this is something that you have to consciously make an effort. So just the next time, so let's say that you have appointment with to go meet your friend on Tuesday. So just remember, when I see my friend on Tuesday, I'm going to be paying attention to how he looks, trying to gauge and decide, is he happy? Is he doing well? Or is he having a hard time? That's it. Is he having a hard time or is he not having a hard time?
Yes.
I'm just going to see if I can figure that out based on how he's speaking, his tone, his facial features, the words that he's using, the topics that he discusses. I just want to figure out, is he doing well or not doing well? So you have to actively practice. And if he starts talking about something difficult, and you can ask him, how are you doing in a real way? Or he might volunteer some kind of difficult information, instead of minimizing, and be conscious when you're minimizing, because we all do this. We don't all have emotional bandwidth to take on someone else's emotional troubles. We're human. We only have a certain amount of bandwidth. However, the reality of marriage is that you're going to have to learn how to stretch that bandwidth, right? So start stretching it now, right? And you don't have to take on every single difficult conversation that somebody offers, but try to at least maybe once a month, just say each month I'm going to allow one difficult conversation to happen, and I'm going to sit and be present and be there for that friend or that family member. And I'm going to do my best to try to be their shoulder and offer advice if they want advice. It's important.
Yes.
If they want advice. Not everyone wants advice.
Yes.
If they want advice. And not minimize. So that's how you practice having difficult conversations.
Mm-hmm.
So that brings us to the fourth thing. The fourth thing that you can do is another practice item. It's practice shouldering responsibility. Now, this gentleman here has had a lot of practice shouldering responsibility. Ever since his father passed away at a very young age, he has had to take on an increasing burden of helping his family, get through life. So he's had a lot of practice. But remember, I was speaking to the normal situation. Like when I say the normal, I mean the average situation of somebody who hasn't had to take on that burden and who has had the opportunity to really just focus on their education and focus on themselves, on improving themselves, right? So if you're in this circumstance, it's a good idea to actively find opportunities to practice shouldering responsibility, like real responsibility. I don't mean just going to school or going to work. These are important things, but that's not real responsibility, right? If you have an oldest sibling, for instance, then your oldest sibling probably has a better idea of what that looks like, simply because of the nature of how dynamics of how most households run, right? They just have had more practice shouldering responsibility. Like I have younger siblings, and I can tell you for a fact that they, alhamdulillah, haven't had to shoulder in the way that that they would be marriage ready until for a long time, because I was there for them, right? So how do you practice shouldering responsibility? What are some things that they can do?
If something happens that they caused, like they ate the last slice of pizza.
Okay.
Sorry, am I taking that too far?
Do you want pizza? It sounds like you want pizza.
Pizza's always a benefit.
Okay. I think that's what. All right, we'll get you.
They can apologize. They can be like, "Look, I understand, and I'm sorry." Or if they hurt their partner, if that's something that
they don't have a partner.
They don't have a partner yet. Okay. Yes. If they hurt their family member, right? They don't have to act indignant about it. Rather, they can recognize when they're being unjust to someone, and they can apologize, try to make amends, and improve upon that.
Oh, so accepting accountability. No, that's beautiful. But okay, so let me define what I mean by shouldering responsibility. It means becoming the kind of man that people can rely on. Right? So somebody who in their family, in their community, is known that this person can help, is going to be there for me, which is beautiful. This was a characteristic of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where people in the community knew that if they needed something, they used to go to the Prophet, right? So becoming closer to that type of person. How can you do this? There are two things, right? And you sort of have to do them in order. The first thing is to become independent where you can. That's the first step, right? So if you live with your family, then try to make sure that you are helping with the bills, taking care of your own bills. For instance, if you have a phone, to try to take over responsibility for paying for your phone. And after you've taken care of the things that are your responsibilities, that are directly the things that you need, then to now start to take over other responsibilities for the communal household. So maybe you might offer to, like, I will take care of my younger sister's phone bill, or I'll take care of the utilities, or I'll take care of, so helping to pay the bills. But the first thing that you do is become independent where you can. Right? If you live with your family at home, that might mean cleaning your room, taking care of your laundry, just making sure that you prepare your own meals, so that your family, your mom, your sisters don't have to worry about whether or not you eat and what you eat, because you're taking care of your own meals. Just those little things. And you can do these from a very young age. If you are not living with your family, obviously this is a lot easier, because you are having to actively be independent. So after you've become somewhat independent in the places that you can, and this might take a little creativity, then the next step is to now start taking care of the needs of other people. So we've already mentioned paying bills, right? But it can also be keeping promises. So if you have promised your siblings, I'm going to help you practice, for your Quran class, or I'm going to help you practice playing basketball, or I'm going to help you take care of your homework. Keeping that promise, right, in a regular way with your siblings, with your families, with your friends, and showing up for them in the places where you said that you were showing up for them. Somebody who their word can be taken seriously. Another one is just honestly helping out if you're blessed to have your parents, is to help out your parents, right? Go and have a conversation with them and find out what are some of the things that they need. They'll tell you. right? They'll tell you. They might say something, you know what? It's we do need someone to pick up so and so from practice every Wednesday. It would be really great if you could be that person, and then help them out. Be that person that's going to pick up your sibling. Or they might, like, whatever it is that they'll tell you what they need. You should, another way that you can become dependable is, if you are not living with your parents, is to contact them regularly, check in on them, see how they're doing, check in on their health. Remind them to do things like go see a doctor when they need to see a doctor. Just see how they're doing. Try to take on a little bit more of not the child role with your parents. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't mean with respect. When it comes to respect, we'll always be in the child role, no matter how old we get, because our parents are the elders. But with respect to taking care of them, try to step up a little bit and take care of them in the ways that you can. It doesn't have to be your parents. It could be your aunts, your uncles, your grandparents, adoptive parents, just whoever it is that took care of you. If you're blessed to have someone that took care of you. Hopefully all of that makes sense.
Yeah.
So the way that you can practice shouldering responsibility is, number 1, become independent where you can. And number 2, start helping the people in your life where you can. And if you're not sure how to help them, ask them. They'll tell you. Right? So those are the 4 things that you can practice from now in order to become a great husband. So if we review them, number 1 was to deal with your baggage, your own emotional baggage. To be perfectly honest, this is the hardest step. This is the hardest step for everyone. But to deal with your own emotional baggage. And that's going to be an ongoing, lifelong thing. But it's important to start before you're married. Number 2 is to practice not getting your way sometimes. And the best place to practice is with siblings. They will give you so many opportunities to practice.
Exactly.
Yeah. Number 3 is to practice having emotionally heavy conversations, which means the next time somebody tells you that they're not doing well is to sit with them, sit through it, and be present with them for it. And to practice being uncomfortable in those situations. And number 4, practice shouldering responsibility and becoming the type of man that other people rely on, by being independent where you can, and then showing up for the people in your life where they need you to. So those are the 4 ways that you can practice, the 4 things that you can prepare for becoming a great husband. There's a 5th skill. Now, this is for the people who are S tier. S tier, am I saying it correctly? Is that the correct letter of the alphabet?
Yeah, S tier in video game terms.
Yes, which is the very best of the best.
Better than A tier.
Better than A plus, right?
Yeah.
Using language that I know. Okay, so this is an advanced level skill that if you want to be an excellent husband, what you can do is actively try to notice other people's inner worlds. Right, so we touched on this a little bit when I was talking about practicing emotionally heavy conversations, where you pay attention to your friends' moods and try to figure out how they're feeling. That's what I'm talking about here, all right? Where you try to develop that skill of noticing how the other people are doing around you. It is a skill. As women, because we are socially programmed to be more nurturing. A part of that is you can't really nurture unless you know what people need. And a big part of knowing what people need is learning how to recognize what they need, right? And paying attention to their inner world. So practice doing that. Like I said, that means next time you're going to go meet with your siblings, parents, friends, whoever it is, just make a mental check. I'm going to try to figure out how they're doing without them telling me directly.
Mm-hmm,
and then you can ask them and see if you were right. Right? So I could go meet with my sister, could have a nice conversation about this, about that, and I could come to the conclusion that she's doing a lot better than the last time I met. And I can ask her that, you seem like you're doing a lot better than the last time we met. And she'll say, yeah. Or she'll say, you know what? No. And see if what she says matches up with what you guessed. Right?
Yeah.
So why is that skill important?
Because it'll help you read the competition.
Is your wife the competition?
In all aspects, yes.
Yes, it will help you to be battle ready, right? No, it'll help you. Being able to read how your wife is doing is a very important part in marriage. Especially, and again, we said that assume that you're going to be married to the most wonderful, compatible spouse. Most of us are still going to be having communication skills that are not yet perfect.
Yeah.
And women are not always good at telling you how they feel.
Yeah.
So I'm not telling you to become a mind reader, but I'm saying it's important to have some basic level of being able to understand that she's upset or she's happy, right? Most husbands develop this at some point in marriage, but having these skills ready will just put you way above and far ahead of the pack.
Yes.
So that brings us to the end of everything we wanted to talk about. Is there anything we're missing?
No, we spoke nicely.
For a while, apparently.
At length.
At length. Okay. Thank you for being so patient. So if you've made it this far in the episode, Jazaa K'Allah Khayr, and if you're a young man who's out there trying to become a great husband, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for you. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. If you haven't subscribed to our channel on YouTube already, please subscribe. It really helps us out. Even if you're on a podcast platform, there's usually, I think I'll leave a link in the description where you can click on it and get to our YouTube channel where you can subscribe. If you're a young woman and you are searching for a spouse and you need help assessing compatibility, feel free to download my free compatibility guide in the link in the description below. That's everything. Everybody stay safe, In Shaa Allah. Have a wonderful week, and assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.